New documents show a Dominion construction site in Powhatan has not been in compliance with its permit, leaving Lake Shawnee residents with a murky view. You'll remember runoff from the construction site rolled into the lake in March, turning the water brown. According to the DEQ documents, the site is not in compliance with the approved erosion and sediment control plan and stormwater management plans. DEQ says Dominion has made various corrective actions, including stabilizing efforts around basins which trap rainwater, and that Dominion is providing weekly progress check-ins. New details tonight: the 18-year-old who was shot last week in Henrico has died in the hospital. Welcome back to 8 News at 11. I'm Heather Hope.
I'm Eric Phillips. Police say they're now conducting a homicide investigation in connection to Jamarion Smith's death. Police say just after 2 p.m. on April 25th, officers found Smith on Witch Duck Court with a gunshot wound. He was taken to the hospital with life-threatening injuries and later died.
Police believe a fight between several people led to gunfire. 2 people were detained at the scene but later released. Anyone with information is asked to call police. Grammy-winning artist and Virginia native Chris Brown was arrested in London this week, charged with seriously injuring a music producer at a London nightclub in 2023. This incident happened while being on tour in the UK. His court date is set for June 13th. We're following a developing story tonight. The Supreme Court ordering the Trump administration to facilitate the return of a Maryland man who was mistakenly deported to El Salvador. The administration claims Kilmar Abrego Garcia is a member of the MS-13 gang, but he has never been charged with or convicted of a crime. The Supreme Court expects the administration to share what steps it has already taken and what it still may do.
Tonight, 2 VCU students and 1 recent graduate are getting their visas revoked. That's according to university officials.
This is a part of a Trump administration effort to crack down on immigration in colleges nationwide. Now, VCU is not the only university. Virginia University being impacted. 7 students and 2 alumni had their visas revoked at Virginia Tech, while UVA officials released a statement saying one of its students had been impacted. Our other top stories tonight: Trump administration policies could leave Virginia schools in danger of losing federal funding, and it's causing RPS leaders and parents to sound off. Last week, the Department of Education demanded schools do away with diversity, equity, and inclusion practices, calling them discriminatory. Schools across the Commonwealth have until Friday to reject DEI practices or risk losing federal funding for things like Title I schools and the Disabilities Act.
Ferron Claiborne was released from FCI Petersburg prison this morning. You're watching 8 News at 6. I'm Eric Phillips.
I'm Heather Hope in for Deanna tonight. This release nearly a decade in the making after we began asking how 2 men found not guilty of murder ended up sentenced to life in prison anyway.
8 News anchor Deanna Albritton is live in Henrico.
Now to a summer rip current warning. With beach season here, there's new expert advice for surviving a rip current. ABC's Victor Okendo has the details.
Thank you.
Matt, thanks. A crime alert tonight out of Chesterfield, where police need your help in identifying 2 suspects who are connected to a number of car thefts in March. These all happen on the 31st in the Lux Lane and Courthouse Road areas. You can see pictures of those suspects now, one wearing a unique looking backpack and black and yellow sneakers. Police say a blue Ford Escape, a gun, and key fob were all stolen that night. If you know anything about this crime, call Chesterfield or Colonial Heights Police. Sierra, thanks. We turn now to the latest on the March crash that seriously injured Mary Munford Elementary School principal Greg Music. We've learned no one will face charges. The Commonwealth's Attorney's Office tells us the damage shows Music tried to turn left in front of a moving SUV on Patterson Avenue, and witnesses reported seeing no signaling from Music. The crash team couldn't determine if any other conditions may have contributed to this crash. Tonight, Music is still in the hospital. Several businesses are banning some middle school students from entering their stores alone before, during, and after school hours. This after recent reports of shoplifting and disruptive behavior. 8 News reporter Jamal Williams spoke with workers from one of the stores affected and joins us live in Richmond. And Jamal, what did this worker have to say? Talking about prostate cancer, you may be wondering, what are the survival rates? According to the American Cancer Society, there is a 5-year survival rate of more than 99% for people with localized or regional cancer. For cancers that have spread to other parts of the body, the survival rate is about 37%.
And we are certainly keeping former President Biden and his family in our thoughts and prayers.
We are.
Straight ahead on 8 News at 11.
Danelle Thanks, the manager of Manchester Market, has reached out to us denying price gouging claims. They say they responded to the subpoena back in April and provided receipts to the Attorney General's office to prove that their prices remain consistent before, during, and after the water crisis. Tonight, some Henrico residents may have received or will receive a postcard from the city of Richmond about mailing address changes for certain city utility and tax payments. Henrico officials say these changes are applicable only to households that receive natural gas from Richmond Gas Works. If you have questions, contact the Henrico Department of Finance.
The latest out of Richmond.
And that was Bob Buckley reporting. Virginia Tech was ordered to pay more than $11 million to settle with about 2/3 of the families. The school was heavily criticized for not sending out alerts about the shooting early enough. A disturbing trend indeed, Victoria Thanks. New details tonight. 2 teenage boys are behind bars in connection to a Chesterfield shooting that seriously hurt a man. Police say just before 10:30 Tuesday night, officers went to Bimini Court where they found a man that was shot. He was taken to the hospital with life-threatening injuries. Now a 16-year-old and 17-year-old face charges, including aggravated malicious wounding. Anyone with additional information is asked to report it. Tonight, Richmond resident Edward Jabbar is charged with murder in connection to a shooting that left 61-year-old Daryl Talley dead. The charges come after police investigated a vehicle on Castlewood Road around 4:15 the morning of June 5th. Talley was found inside the vehicle with a gunshot wound, police pronouncing him dead at the scene. Tomorrow, Virginia State Police running a targeted enforcement effort on Route 360 from Amelia County to South Boston and Halifax County. It's happening from 6 a.m. until 8 p.m. Crash data shows in just over a 3-year period, there were 311 crashes along the approximately 83-mile stretch of Route 360. 8 of those crashes were fatal and 189 resulted in injuries. Here's First Sergeant Christopher Owen. Now to the latest podcast episode of Off the Hook with Maddie D. Our Storm Tracker 8 Chief Meteorologist Matt DiNardo sat down with Tom Dunlap with the James River Association. They talked about migratory fish species in the James River. Take a listen. And you're positively Richmond now. Fishermen and women are on the hunt for redfish this summer.
That's right. In the latest episode of Off the Hook podcast, Maddie D breaks down what you can expect if you're hoping to snag one for dinner this year.
Ooh, good stuff. All right, Matt, thanks. Well, Chesterfield raising a glass for Craft Beer Week. Starting Monday, the county is highlighting American-made beer at several locations, some of which are on your screen now. A digital beer map is also available on Chesterfield's website. Participants are urged to drink responsibly and follow state driving laws. Still ahead here, showing off shades of green. Richmond ivy in new threads. The inspiration behind this design. Next. A lot of gratitude there. That was Kylie Hill reporting. That will do it for 8 News at 5:30. Stay tuned. 8 News at 6 is next. Now on 8 News at 6. 2 Israeli embassy staffers killed. The suspected shooter chanting Free Palestine. How the local Jewish community is reacting tonight. Plus a tiny solution.
When you're sleeping out in the street,
for a big problem.
you're afraid somebody's going to attack you.
How a gated micro-home community is tackling homelessness.
Thousands of American flags put in front of tombstones at the Veterans Cemetery in Amelia. I'm Allison Williams in Amelia with how the county is gearing up for Memorial Day.
Live with the news where you live. 8 News at 6 starts now.
Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine!
Tonight, members of the local Jewish community are leaning on one another in the aftermath of a deadly shooting in D.C. The suspected gunman, who you just heard, shooting and killing two Israeli embassy staffers outside D.C.'s Capitol Jewish Museum last night. The victims have been identified as Yaron Lischinski and Sarah Milgram. You're watching 8 News at 6. I'm Eric Phillips.
I'm Heather Hobe. 8 News reporter Sierra Krug joining us live in our studio now with what Jewish leaders in Richmond have to say about this tragedy. Sierra.
Well, Heather, Eric, I spoke with the Jewish community.
Some separate mowings. All right, Matt. Well, Airbnb now seeing its bookings slipping. It says demand for vacation rentals is softening and its forecast for second quarter revenue is coming in below Wall Street expectations.
You know, we might try some synchronized mowing.
Okay, same day. Matt knows the weather, so it could help.
Like it push, we'll see what we can do. Still ahead.
And for her to be there in San Diego at the USS Midway, I used to work in that market. We often report it there, and it's like she's paying it forward.
Right.
Dealing with that crisis and now being able to help more folks learn about it.
That's right.
We're back after this break.
All leading causes for accidents and worse out on the roadways.
Can change someone's life dramatically in just a little bit of time. And we're also distracted with so many things, especially our phones. So that's a good reminder there. Still ahead, how the people of Virginia Beach are holding up 2 years after a major tornado passed through the area. We have that story next.
The two ladies say one idea they really want to put forward for anyone who's seeing this story is that it's never too late. Never
too late. She said, I hadn't been in school for a minute.
That's right.
But once she got that encouragement from her daughter, she felt that push to, let's go ahead and do this. Let's both get our PhDs.
She said she's a woman of a certain age. I didn't ask, by the way, what age that is, just so you know.
Don't do that.
No.
She's every woman.
That's right.
Well, still ahead here, why the Trump administration is halting all interviews for international student visas.
Of the name, the Barkery. You know, that takes some creativity and a lot of heart on her part as well.
I mean, all the different treats, the different flavors. I know they're going to love that pumpkin. So congrats to that 7th grader putting in the work.
Right.
Well, coming up next, Steve is crafting success. A look at the top video game film that is leaving the Mario Brothers in the dust.
You know, it's interesting to see how people are adapting. Okay, egg prices are high. Here are some alternatives. You can keep those prices low and still have the creativity around the holiday.
And I would have never thought about painting a marshmallow or a potato.
Potatoes,
and they make it work and still edible.
Right.
So good for them being creative. And egg prices aren't the only things rising. Cocoa prices are also soaring, which could affect your Easter chocolate treats. Rising temperatures and weather conditions have damaged crops in West Africa, which produces more than 70% of the global cocoa supply. We spoke with a Texan man visiting Belgium who wasn't deterred from buying chocolate.
I want to minimize distractions, but I'd say that that's relatively distracting.
Yeah, I guess they're saying if you're really looking down, then you won't notice that. But again, that's another thing that you're putting your eyes on instead of the road. So we get the strategy, but I don't know how effective it'll be. Hopefully it will help.
A for creativity.
Yes. Still ahead, President Trump preparing to play hardball with China as the turmoil over tariffs continue tonight. We have a look at the latest. JB.
Those items do occur. And the reason those occur is...
And you have been just watching In Progress live from City Hall. Mayor Danny Avula and DPU Director Scott Morris talking about this latest water challenge. You heard our 8 News reporter Allison Williams asking about public trust and what they're going to do about that. Mayor Avula saying he's committed to earning the trust of the public once again. He
lives in the city asking for grace during this time of challenges. We're back after this break. That's exciting to hear. With these advances, they're able to go home quicker after getting this groundbreaking surgery.
And considering the fact that the surgery is more precise because of the robotic element in general, it's a win-win all the way around.
Good advancements. Still ahead here, the Columbia University student detained by ICE 2 weeks ago has now been released. You can find this full conversation on WRIC+. Very important topics there, especially so many of us feel we have to do it all. So good to know you can unpack, take a breather, and take a moment, not just May, but throughout the year.
And the whole golden rule is the same, right? If you don't take care of yourself, then you can't take care of anybody else. And your mental health is a part of caring for your overall health.
Overall health.
Still ahead.